Vision News. Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Thank you guys so much for joining me here this morning. I know I did a little bit of rebroadcasting last week, but thank you guys for still watching the rebroadcast. I did see that a lot of you did watch them. And my relative that I went to go and visit, they're doing much better. So also thank you for your prayers. And with that, let's get into honoring God with our body. Let me make a quick adjustment with my camera here. Oh, visual effects. Because I was like, yeah, I'm running a little bit slow, a little bit slower than usual. But let's get into honoring God with our body. So, God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I would think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect my ears and help me listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over our mouths. God, set a guard over our mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to the family in the faith. God, please protect our reproductive organs and help us to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. So, guys, again, thank you so much for joining me here this morning on Unfiltered Vision News for this Monday recap. And with that, let's get into our trending topics on X. We're first going to look at a study that reports 84% benefit from ivermectin and benzodal in cancer patients. Okay, that's something new. And Lawrence Mayor Brian DePina was arrested for allegedly 1.5 million in COVID loan fraud. There's been a lot of politicians that got caught up in fraud, even in Georgia, like the PPP loans, that whole situation. There's a few of them. And then Ennis Cantor Freedom declares for the 2027 WNBA draft. Like, they need to stop trolling the WNBA. I don't know if it's a troll or if they just want to make a point. Like, your logic is just not working. So let's check out this study briefly. So the peer-reviewed paper in anti-cancer research followed patients prescribed the drugs through telemedicine, relying on self-reported outcomes from 122 who completed 6-month surveys. Common cancers included prostate and breast, with mostly mild side effects reported. While advocates like William Mackis share success stories and survivors like Laura Logan welcome the options, the journal issued an expression of concern over data issues, and experts stress the need for controlled trials. Well, I'm all for the trials. Let's try everything. I don't think anything should be off the table. But if people are reporting that they're having good benefits, then in my opinion, that deserves more looks and more trials. So, doctors, do your jobs. Because here's the thing, I realize that the pharmaceutical industry has kind of made us their business model. So it's almost like get them while they're young, right? Get them while they're young. And you're almost on this life cycle in medicine. And the insurance companies are a part of it too, because a lot of the insurance companies, they may own a pharmaceutical company, or the pharmaceutical company is in alignment with the insurance company. So if you get something like cancer, you're going to have treatments, and then you're going to have aftercare. And then, do you see what I'm saying? It's this whole life cycle. And then some of them also own farms. So they're messing with the food. So if the food gets you sick, you got to have insurance to go to the doctor. You know what I mean? And then again, it's this perpetual cycle of illness. It needs to stop in the United States. If we are a first world country, we shouldn't be dealing with cancer anymore. We should have the cure and we should be done with it. But that's not where you want to be. You want to be able to siphon the lifeblood out of every American citizen. And that's just disgusting. It really is gross. And we need to do better in our medical system. The next one I wanted to get to was Lawrence Mayor Brian DePina. He was arrested for allegedly 1.5 million in COVID loan fraud. So the 61-year-old Democrat faces federal wire fraud and money laundering charges after securing over 1.5 million in COVID-19 small business loans for his tire business. Prosecutors say he diverted the funds to pay off high-interest mortgages on his properties, covered personal tax debts, and send about 90,000 to his 2021 campaign. I think that's kind of the similar situation happened to the lady in Florida, because she did that. Well, hers was kind of like, I guess, an overpayment. She had a contract or something like that, and she got an overpayment, and she used it for her campaign funds too. Okay. And she got a trial. So what are we doing with this guy? We'll see what happens next, right? So DeBending was elected a late mayor in 2021 and reelected in 2025, appeared in Boston federal court that day, was released, and now risks up to 30 years in prison. His attorney later rear-ended a parked car while dodging reporters outside. Yeah, sometimes it's not good to run away. Just stand your ground. What are you afraid of? That's the bigger question. Why are you running? Huh? Why are you running? Don't run. Causes more problems, right? And then to the third, Ennis Cantor Freedom declares for the 2027 WNBA draft. Ennis, stop trolling. Royce, stop trolling. I love trolling. Anyway, Freedom told interviews the WNBA allows players who identify as women, and he is ready to compete. He also suggested merging the NBA and WNBA if biology no longer separates leagues. Okay, interesting. The move revised debates over eligibility after comments from players like Sophie Cunningham and Caitlyn Jenner's support for barring biological males amid the league's unclear rules on transgender participation, in a poll showing most Americans are uncomfortable with it. We should be, because you're men. Men should not be competing against women, period. And I know these individuals are like, well, I'm transgender and I'm a woman. No, you're not. You are not a woman. And you know you're not a woman. Stop that. Stop trolling. Because to me, that's a complete troll. All of this that's going on, you are someone who definitely needs psychological help, right? Again, I think Ennis is trolling, but to the root of the matter, there are people that do have it's a problem because you are not a woman, and whoever's made you believe that you are, that's a problem because that's not who you are. Because that's not how you were born. And there's no, I was assigned this at birth. No, you weren't assigned anything at birth. You were born a male or a female. Okay. And God has known who you are while you were knitted in your mother's womb. Okay. Male or female. That's it. And we need to get back to that. And we need to say, no, men who, have this thought pattern that isn't true, because it's not reality. It isn't true. If you want your own league, if you want to compete, you need your own league. And then hope somebody watches, I guess. That's what you need to do. But you need to stay out of women's locker rooms. You need to stay out of women's spaces. You need to figure it out on your own. But women's sports are for women. And that's it. That's it. And that's how it should be. Now let's get to all sides. Now I found this fascinating. I kind of came across it and I was like, okay, we're going to get to some news. But I was like, should a journalist call a politician a liar? Right? Now, in a conversation with Temple, now I'm not going to go into it, but that's a very valid question. Should a journalist call a politician a liar? I mean, unfortunately, people believe that that's the standard, that most politicians are liars. I think politicians need to understand that. Like no one believes you. I think the bigger question should be, are politicians propagandists? Are they just there to spread propaganda, right? And really sway the public with propaganda? Because being a liar these days, there's no shame in it. Nobody's being shamed for lying anymore. Tell me who's the last person ever shamed for lying? Nobody. You try. I mean, a lot of times they're like, Donald Trump is a liar and this person is a liar. Shut up. They're lying. And you've lied too. So what are we all doing? This is a very circular conversation. But again, you need to ask, who are the propagandists? Who are really spreading propaganda and sticking behind it, right? Knowing good and well what they're saying isn't true, but they're still going to fight for it, right? So everybody goes along with the narrative and the propaganda till we've all gone too far over the cliff and there's no going back. Yeah, it's that part for me. So let's get into some more of the news on all sides. It says Bumble drops rule that required women to message first. I guess, okay, so popular dating app Bumble has axed its signature feature that required women to message first when matching a prospective male partner. Okay, all of that's just weird. But, dating apps are what they are. I'm grateful I'm out of the dating pool because my goodness, can imagine dating today. But are they trying to make sure that men are gentlemen? I don't know. A man probably should reach out. But dating apps are they can be interesting and they can definitely be a cesspool for fraud. So be careful. Definitely. Ukraine continues high-volume, long-range drone strikes against Russia with attacks on Moscow, Rostov, and Samara. I just need to stop. Trump says he will make Strait of Hormuz his territory. Okay, this is this stuff right here. bro. I'm j- Trump says that he will declare Strait of Hormuz his territory. He can't do that. And we all should know he can't do that. Is he just saying things? Is he trolling? Is it propaganda? I don't think any of it's true. You can't just go to another country and declare it your territory when it's out of our hemisphere, when we just had this conversation about Venezuela. Like, stop that. It's stuff like that. Stop that. Let's be realistic. Let's dial it back. Right, right. Let's dial it back. Cambridge professor Jason Arday found unalived after fraud allegations, political controversies. That's really sad. Oh no, that's terrible. The WNBA officials discussed transgender athlete rules, make no immediate changes. Yeah, they're being weird in the WNBA. What did you think was going to happen when you opened up the door to this? They can play right with us. They're men. Now you got two ex NBA players or former NBA players that are like, well, if that's the case, I'm a woman and I want to play. And based on your logic, you got to let them. You can't stop them. So what do you? So now y'all are stuck, and you're going to have men that are a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and a lot more agile at this game than women are. We are different. You've just destroyed the whole purpose of the franchise. Because if you're not going to make a difference between the two, just let a woman join an NBA team. Right? Just let that happen. And then it's just going to be a co-ed sport at that point. And it'll still be the National Basketball League. It'll just be co-ed. Right? Is that what we're doing? Or are we just going to, like the way the baseball team's banana ball. Even banana ball is all men. There's no women on the banana ball baseball teams. Y'all should check it out. It's hilarious. And then Trump admin ends federal funding of gender care for minors. Good deal. I'm glad that that's happening. And the FAA hires 2,000 gamers as air traffic controllers amid shortages. I had heard something about that. I find that fascinating that the gamers can do that. But you know what? The babies have been trained in these simulations to do this. So now you're training them to actually be air traffic controllers. Hey, whatever was intended for evil has been turned around for good. I'm glad that people have, been able to get hired, right? And have a legitimate job based on being, from their gaming activities. Now, I did want to also get into a few more videos that I came across just about some of the headlines that have been going on for this Monday recap.
Mean? Well, first of all, it's a devastating blow to the entire TPS program.
And Jaylani Hussein, with the Council on American Islamic Relations, says that could potentially mean deportation for hundreds in Minnesota. But despite Friday's ruling, he says there may be protections for some.
Most people who have TPS actually have other programs or other things that they're applying for their citizenship program or some way where they can become legal citizens. And so we're hoping that they can rely on that.
President Trump first said he'd be terminating the TPS program for Somalis in Minnesota in November, alleging they're responsible for billions in missing money. And the months-long ramped-up focus of federal law enforcement on Minnesota began in December. Homeland Security told us multiple times they were seeking out people in the country illegally and the, quote, worst of the worst. The TPS program was set to end in March, but a judge's ruling put that on hold until now.
So what does this mean for folks with TPS status in Minnesota right now?
I recognize this may be extremely daunting, scary.
Immigration attorney Roger Sy says the ruling essentially says the Department of Homeland Security has the authority to end the TPS program. He doesn't believe federal agents will begin sweeping people off the streets, but more likely, immigration authorities may suspend or end work authorization for some people and perhaps notify employers about the change.
My understanding is their focus is on criminal individuals. Certainly, there will be an impact immediately in terms of work authorization.
Now, we don't have a timeline, but Hussein says today's action gives the Department of Homeland Security the green light to begin eliminating the TPS program, even if there are legal challenges, Kevin. Okay.
Yeah, and here's the thing. TPS is 18 months. That's it. I don't know how the Haitians got to stay here for 16 years on an 18-month program, because by the 19th month, you're technically here illegally. Not even technically, you're here illegally. And so they're ending the TPS program for Somalis, period. Get off the soil. Bye. You can't stay here. And here's the thing. TPS is not a transition to citizenship. You can't use it. You have to go back to your home country and apply for citizenship to come back. Look, I'm gonna tell you again, TPS is not a pathway. You cannot apply for legal permanent residency. You cannot apply for a green card. You cannot apply for a visa, period. The only people who were given and extended that were people who are asylum seekers and people who are refugees. That's it. And their stuff is being shut down too, which I'm glad about because it's been abused. Shut it down. Shut down the whole TPS program. Shut it down. I like it. And DHS has every right to shut this down. It's out of control. People are taking advantage of it. They're not upholding their end because it says in there it's 18 months. You got to go, period. Let's stay here. It's nonsense. Anyway, the next one we want to get to is there was a lawmaker talking about the SAVE Act, and he is from New Jersey.
Well, the heat is still on the Senate, despite senators being home on summer recess. President Trump continues to eye voter ID as his top legislative priority. The Save America Act is stalled in the Senate, and House Speaker Mike Johnson wants to help the president bring it over the finish line.
In New Jersey a few weeks back, remember, they voluntarily told us they found 6,600 non-citizens registered to vote in that state. So this is a serious problem. Election integrity is a top priority and issue for the president. The last version we sent over on a budget resolution for a reconciliation bill to the Senate, and I'm very hopeful they'll process that very quickly because we added election integrity, the Save America Act, with some funding for troops and farmers. I don't think anybody who has common sense can vote against that.
Let's bring in New Jersey Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew, a member of the House Judiciary Committee. So the roadblock seems to be not in the House, but in the Senate. What are the chances, you think, that the SAVE Act ultimately does get passed?
It's going to be hard, but we're really going to push for it. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, it is simplistic, but true to say, if you are voting in an American election, you should be an American. There's nothing complicated about that. Then we've been told for years, well, there are no non-Americans that are voting in our elections. And of course, we see that there were 6,600 that willfully, openly admitted it. We don't know how many people lied. We've got to dig into that. And maybe, John, we can talk about that a little bit in a minute, what we're doing on the House side, what I'm doing in my committee, and how we want to proceed forward. But it is.
Yeah. So this is a problem. This is the whole issue. But I wanted to pull something up real quick for you guys. Because, of course, while I was away, I was, I did a little bit of compiling some stuff. But, the SAVE Act is a big deal. And in my opinion, the issue that the Democratic Party specifically keeps coming back to, they keep trying to use married women, number one, and they also keep trying to use Black people, right? They're always trying to use us. Like, why are you using us? Like, stop, get off my lawn. I'm over it. Get off my lawn, right? So I went to Grok, actually, and I was like, there are some common documents that you need to have when you're getting certain things, a driver's license, a state ID, or a bank account, right? You need certain documents. And so I looked into it and I said, can you tell me what you need to give? Driver's license, state identification, or bank account. So for an ID or driver's license, and we're just using Georgia as an example, you need a birth certificate, right? Or from the Bureau of Vital Statistics or equivalent, not a hospital copy, because some people get their, it's called a certificate of birth, right? And it might be like a little small one. They're talking about the official document. It's like an 8x10 document of your U.S. birth certificate. An unexpired U.S. passport or passport card. That's one of the options you can use. An official counselor report of birth abroad, which are these documents in FS 240, FS 545, DS 1350, or a certificate of naturalization, right? Or a certificate of citizenship, certified copy. So any one of these proofs of documentation in the state of Georgia allows you can use it to get a driver's license. These are one of the documents. This is a proof of identity. Then you have to have proof of a social security number. Your original social, W-2, 1099, showing your name and your social, which that's kind of wonky. A pay stub showing, that's still wonky, or other SSA documents, tax returns, or certain benefit letters that show your phone number. And that's weird, in my opinion. If you have a social security number, I don't care if you lost it, you can get one. And you can get a receipt from the Social Security office. See, to me, this, like the W-2 and the pay stub, because you can always lie on that. And nobody's really, they're not checking at the DMV. You just got to show them to them. That's very wonky. Georgia, you need to fix that. You need to tighten it up. Completely tighten it up. If it's not a social security card, it's not acceptable, period. And you're not getting a state ID, and you're not getting a driver's license, period. So it says other SSA documents, tax return, or certain benefit letters that show the full number. In my opinion, you need to have a receipt from the Social Security office, not something that people can fraudulently, produce, because there's that too. Yeah, there's got to be a mechanism for the people at the DMV to check and validate that Social Security number, put it in the system, and make sure these people are who they say they are. And if it's not, then they can't get the driver's license. They cannot get a state ID. Period. Now, a lot of people think, well, that's kind of harsh. No, it's not. It's not harsh at all. Not at all. Or you've got to have proof of residency, right? 2 documents, utility bill, bank, credit card, or other financial statements. That's interesting. You can use that, right? Okay, so let's moving along. To open up a bank account, you need a driver's license, right? Or state ID. You need a social security number. Okay. And you need personal information, full name, date of birth, right? Proof of address, initial deposit. So there's some similar documents that you need to open up a bank account that are very similar to an ID or a driver's license. Interesting, right? So additional items may be required depending on the bank. For non-citizens, a passport, immigration documents, for business accounts, EIN, and formation documents, right? But again, like I was saying, I was trying to tie it in. So I said, can you tell me the document that these all have in common? So here's the documents that they all have in common. You all need to have a passport or a birth certificate, all of them. So this whole argument, people are not going to be able to apply for the SAVE Act because they don't have a birth. If you have a driver's license, you already have your birth certificate. If you have a state ID, I'm just talking about Georgia, you have a birth certificate. So this argument, it falls apart. It falls apart. And this is once you have your driver's license and state ID, that government issued ID is the primary document that banks accept. So you need to have it. You need it. This is weird. Okay. And the social security number, proof of residency, they all have that in common. Okay. So here we go. So then I was like, so which of these documents would be required by the SAVE Act if it's passed? Okay, so here's the documents. A valid passport. That's one. Fully accepted as proof of citizenship. That's one way. Or a birth certificate. That's another way. The driver's license. That's another way. Real ID. Now, Social Security card is not accepted as proof of citizenship, but it is one of the documents that they do require. And they don't require utility bills. That's not even relevant. Right? But these three, you should be able to show. Now, the other thing they've been saying is, oh, women, they changed their name. But look, yes, women do change their name. And all you got to do is just show your marriage certificate and your birth certificate. And that's simple to have, because if you got your name changed, you produce those documents. Why are we having this issue is my question. It just makes everybody look crazy. So the other documents the SAVE Act would accept would be a certificate of naturalization or a certificate of citizenship. Do you have that? A consular report of birth abroad, right? Military ID, military service records showing your birthplace, certain other specific government documents, okay? And it says adoption decree showing U.S. birth or an American Indian card with KIC classification. And those are for Native American Indians, right? It's weird. So I said there's controversy about it, required the SAVE Act, and this act requires fewer documents than a driver's license or bank account. Yes, that comparison is largely accurate in terms of the number and type of documents required for the core purpose of each process. The SAVE Act doesn't require that much. The main document is proof of U.S. citizenship, period. That's it. You have a valid passport, right? Or you have a government issued ID, right? And we're just using Georgia as an example, right? Your driver's license or your ID plus one of the following: your birth certificate, certificate of naturalization, certificate of citizenship, the consular report of birth abroad, or there's a few other specific documents that they'll allow you to use to validate you are who you say you are and you are a naturalized citizen allowed to vote in our elections. That's it. So using Black people and married people is married women specifically, it's dumb. Just say you want to cheat, and I think we'll all have an honest conversation, because that's what you're doing. You just want to cheat, and you just want to defraud the American public. You want everyone discouraged with the voting process to the point they get so frustrated they just go and sit on the couch. So you can just run the tables wherever with people that are here illegally voting in our elections. That's not going to happen. Okay? They're going to get this act passed. People are going to start acting like they have some common sense in this country. And we're going to get better people in office, because obviously everyone has shown that they don't care about this country. And we need better people in office. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today for our Recap Monday broadcast. I really missed you guys. And we'll be back tomorrow with Tell It All Tuesday. So remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.